Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan.
A long, long time ago, Europeans sailed the seas. They explored a strange new world on account of the 3Gs. Gold, God, and glory were the reasons that they came. France was friendly in Canada, unlike South America and Spain. The English settled in the east, all along the coast. And just like the Spanish, they were hated the most. The natives had many gods, known as polytheism. Europeans had one, that's monotheism. The natives never really could understand why the Europeans thought that they could own the land. So they started to fight, and the natives started sneezing. And soon they were wiped out by European diseases. Diseases spread along the triangle trade. Europe, Africa, America's many fortunes were made. But some weren't so fortunate, like African slaves who on the Middle Passage were swallowed by the waves.
Party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan.
Some others sailed the seas to find a peaceful land, and they could worship freely and party like Puritans. And on the Mayflower they signed a compact that gave them a government and told them how to act. A covenant community is what they formed. In Massachusetts Bay they landed from the storm. But if you didn't believe what they believed, their intolerance would make you leave. The church was a state, aka theocracy, and they held town meetings, direct democracy. They also believed in hard work and thrift, so if they had a party, you get a cheap gift.
Party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan.
And back in England, to pay for colonies, King James created joint stock companies. They shared the risk, and they shared the Hamiltons. Jamestown was founded by the Virginia Company of London. Captain John Smith got them through the starving time. Well, you wouldn't believe what is coming in this rhyme. You did everything that you could to save your life. You ate rats, cats, and dogs, and you even ate your wife. Along came a hero by the name of John Rolfe. He was too tobacco, like Tiger Woods just took off. So tobacco made Jamestown a successful colony, and they elected a body called the House of Burgesses. The House of Burgesses, aka General Assembly, still meets today to make laws aplenty. The king granted land to the Cavaliers in Eastern Virginia, which was easy to clear. If you were poor, you didn't dilly-dally. You had to keep on walking to the Shenandoah Valley. If you couldn't buy a ticket to come over here, you'd be an indentured servant and work for 7 years. So in 1607, way back in history, Jamestown became the first permanent English colony. And in 1619, 12 years later, the first African slaves arrived as a source of cheap labor.
Party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan.
So now we've got New England, Middle and Southern colonies, and each region had their own economies. In New England, they wanted religious freedom. Puritans told Roger Williams that they just didn't need him. So Williams took off on a crazy adventure and founded Rhode Island with his religious dissenters. The winters were harsh and the soil was full of rocks, so they made a living fishing and building ships and docks. Eminem raps cool, but not as good as me. But that's the way you learn the New England colonies. In the middle colonies, they did a lot of trading, and they had a middle class, but no religious hating. There were many merchants, like blacksmiths and bakers. Catholics in Maryland, Pennsylvania had the Quakers. Commercial scenes like New York and Baltimore and Philadelphia, you could shop in every store. There were English, Dutch, and German-speaking immigrants, and the people had the power to self-government. Nice people never do much, you may not agree, but that's how you remember the middle colonies. And farther down south, where the summer never stops, they made all their money by growing cash crops. Tobacco, rice, and even indigo. You could settle in Georgia to pay the bills you owe. And because the king gave away all the free land, the English were loyal to the Church of England. 100 years later, the people just weren't making it and needed to be revived by the Great Awakening. The people lost their faith until John Edwards appeared and started preaching to them, so everyone could hear. A religious revival spread throughout the land because sinners were held by an angry God's hand. Baptists and Methodists grew from this movement, and everyone's faith saw much needed improvement. From the Great Awakening, ideas of revolution to the British problem would have a solution. Now I know this is a lot to study, but I know you can. You'll have plenty of time if you party like a Puritan.
Party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. Party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan. We're gonna party like a Puritan, party like a Puritan.